they thought that they were safe. What pre-threat indicators or cues were missed, resulting in them losing their vehicle at gunpoint? And how might they have stacked the odds back their direction in these particular circumstances? Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First. This video was sent to me from a subscriber. It's an armed robbery carjacking out of Ottery, Cape Town, South Africa. The video shows that it's September 9th this year, 2025, at 22:58, so it's 10:58 p.m. Ottery is a suburb of Cape Town. Now, Ottery has a population of about 5,000, but Cape Town, well, that's 3.7 million. These days, I've noticed, at least in the United States, that most people seem to be in a hurry. When I drive the speed limit, everybody passes me. Little old ladies are passing me. So when I see a car that appears to be driving slower than the speed limit, they're slow rolling, then the question becomes why? If you're in a big city, you might do it to time the lights so that you're not stuck, stopped, stationary at a red light. Why? Well, because armed robbers or carjackers, it's going to be hard for them to hit a moving target. Much easier to hit a target that's stopped in traffic. This looks like a residential area, so it's possible that this passing vehicle, it could be slowing down to stop. But here's the thing. What's the probability that they're going to need to stop in close proximity to where we're parked at 11 o'clock at night? So for me, that's a red flag. It helps if you know your area, the area that you're parked in. When I was younger, I used to play first-person shooter video games with some of my brothers in blue. And the first thing that you wanted to do, that you wanted to lock down, was you wanted to learn the maps. You need to know the maps. When I became a police officer, it was no different. Geography of the city, well, that was paramount. You have to know your maps. If you get into trouble, how are you going to call for help if you don't even know where you are? The principles for winning and the principles for losing, they're universal. If any one of the three of these young men in this red vehicle were paying attention, well, they would have seen the next pre-threat indicator or cue when the driver of the carjacking vehicle begins applying the brakes. Why is that guy braking? Wow. He's going to have to stop just beyond that blind corner. That's weird. See this wall? This wall is a visual obstruction. Now, if I was going to park with a few of my friends, it would not be here because of the short sight lines. The blind corners, they're just too close. Personally, I'd go find me a big parking lot, far out away from any other parked vehicles. I'd do it in such a way that I have really long, unobstructed sight lines. Why? Because then I can see any approaching vehicles or pedestrians far earlier. And without having any near blind corners, well, they're not going to be able to do to me what they're doing to these guys. And I can simply put the car in drive and take a little cruise. Had these guys been heads up or switched on based upon what we've just seen, they could have started the car, kind of pulled forward and hooked back around as if they were going to leave, pulling up to the point where they can see down the road beyond that near blind corner. And guess what they would have seen? They would have seen two guys on foot walking back towards them. Time to take a little cruise. Time to not be in the wrong place at the wrong time. What the bad guys did here is they used a blind spot, an obstructed view, a near blind corner. They stopped in their intended victim's blind spot. A couple of them dismount the vehicle and walk back to take that car by threat of great bodily harm or death at gunpoint. Now, as they approach this blind corner, I would have expected them to pick up the pace. But because the crime in this particular suburban neighborhood, it isn't all that bad compared to other areas of Cape Town, the bad guys know that they don't even have to hurry. Had anyone in the red vehicle been looking that direction, well, they should have been able to see this first guy approaching on foot at this point. So once he becomes visible, you could call that an area of vulnerability. We just saw this guy took almost 10 seconds to walk right up to the window with the gun in his hand. As this guy approached the corner, if he wanted to, he could have just hugged tighter to the corner. They could have cut that time down to like 1 or 2 seconds. But when you know, you know. And these bad guys, they knew that this was going to be like taking candy from a baby. My best guess is that this has to do with expectations. If there's not a lot of carjackings in this area, they're not going to be expecting to get carjacked. Yes, there's worse areas, but if you live in a suburb neighborhood of a huge city like Cape Town or I don't know, Chicago, you got to be heads up. I have some friends that live in the north suburbs of Chicago, and those are not bad areas. Where they live, they're actually really nice, but because of the proximity to a whole lot of predators, Chicago has what, 110,000 gang members? And they have cars, so they get around. You got to be heads up. Check out these cars over here, how fast they go by. That's normal. They're on their way somewhere. They're not prowling looking for a victim.